I say, why throw a regular party when you can throw one Double Dare style? Who says you need a Double Dare set to play the game anyway? As you'll see, you can do it in a regular family room just like this one, huh?
Sounds great, Mark, but just one problem.
And what might that be, Gak Breath?
This family room looks a lot like our set.
Welcome back, video creeps. You are all formally invited to Angela's Halloween party. Everyone's gonna be there, and it's gonna be great. We're talking music, dancing, drinking, and if that's not enough to liven up the party, demons from the netherworld are coming, son. Let's talk about Night of the Demons. Remember, watch the whole video. Don't be a bitch. This whole thing starts off with a guy named Joe Augustine, a regular Fresh Prince born and raised in Philadelphia, the son of a hairdresser and factory worker. Not cliche at all. He pursued painting and cartooning for years until he attended the Temple University, where he switched up his flavor palette and decided to study film and production. After he won the Focus Award for analyzing the symbolism in Francis Ford Coppola's Apocalypse Now, he moved to Los Angeles, where he ditched producing for screenwriting, working for companies like Propaganda Films and TriStar, until he decided to spread his little creative wings, making his very first feature film, Night of the Demons, which was actually an old screenplay of his called Halloween Party, though like another title that was kicked around for a little bit was Demon Boogie, which I just love. Getting Witchboard's Kevin S. Tenney on board so that way he can direct this thing, the two of them set out on April 8th, 1987 to film their movie, wrapping on May 31st of the exact same year, eventually getting greenlit by Meridian Productions. The film was given an awesome budget of $1,002,000, which funny wasn't enough to fulfill the script at hand. So the two decided to find a house that was within the budget, and then they just rewrote the script to accompany that house that they could afford. The film was ultimately picked up for theatrical release through Paragon International Arts, but rather than getting released internationally, it was slowly released regionally up until 1989. The best year ever, because that's when I was born. The film made about $3.1 million, and reception was awesome, just not critically. The film was panned by the Washington Post and the New York Times for using an overabundance of horror cliches and perpetuating sexist stereotypes, going on to say that the film was unoriginal and unforgivably long. And that last opinion seems subjective. It's only 89 minutes long. Maybe you have ADHD, New York Times. All the shit talking aside, Night of the Demons continued to thrive. It went on to create 2 more entries into the franchise, in addition to begatting a remake, where little Eddie Furlong comes in and just, God, it's not good. But it's funny, Joe Augustine would only come back for part 2, and then Kevin would only come back for part 3. Actually, Kevin comes back for the remake as well, which Joe loves going on record talking about how he had nothing to do with that remake, citing the film for losing its original spirit and losing the artistic integrity that they worked hard for in the first film. However, Joe Augustine has expressed interest in making a Night of the Demons Part 4. If nothing else, just so that way he can get a check in the mail for it. But he has gone on record saying that there is a big amount of love lost between himself and the company that owns the rights to Night of the Demons. I could break this down and paraphrase it for you, but I'm just gonna read you this direct quote. The rights are controlled by Blue Rider Pictures, an offshoot of Paragon Arts, but I never get excited about anything that those guys do. They keep sending me Christmas cards and inviting me to their screenings, but unless they send me a long overdue residual check, I'd rather not be reminded that they are still alive. Atlantic Releasing wanted to buy me out of the picture. I didn't like their intended choice of director, and I was really turned off when they wanted to tack on an "it's all a dream" ending, exactly as they had done on another of their releases at the time. Geiler had a deal to make movies in Spain and wanted the script to be in Transylvania, which I didn't like at the time, but I realize in retrospect that it could have worked. Propaganda was a hip young company, and it would have been a much more energetic production had they done it. Many critics hated the kids in the movie because they were somewhat unsympathetic characters. They would have really hated the kids in the original draft. I had gay characters, an interracial couple, both of which were snipped out by the more conservative Paragon Arts producers and director Kevin Tenney, who really likes his cast to be more white bread. I finally accepted the Paragon Arts deal because they were a young, expanding company and they offered me a contractual creative control. Little did I realize that once you get into production on a low budget of $1.5 million a movie, you're at the mercy of every cast and crew person who decides to get creative. Using the budget as an excuse, the executive producers made me rewrite the script for budgetary purposes, dumbing it down in the process. I also suffered when I lost my original choice of director, John LaFia, who went on to direct Child's Play 2 and Man's Best Friend. And the executives at Paragon Arts talked me into using Kevin Tenney, who had directed Witchboard for them. There was a lot of power tripping and unseemingly weird politics from that moment on, and I fought an uphill battle to preserve what I could of the original Halloween Party screenplay and its original elements. How fucking sad is that? And it's weird that that's not more common knowledge when people talk about this film. And needless to say, while most of us love Night of the Demons, the truth is it wasn't Augustine's original vision. And truth be told, because of how much I love Night of the Demons, I can't make heads or tails whether that was a good thing or a bad thing. It's way too late in the game to go back and try and figure that out. So with all that said, let's move right into the film. So that whole sexism towards women thing, yeah, that hits the ground running. As soon as the movie starts, like, we fucking see a group of teenagers driving in a car. And beyond the, like, weird sexism from one dude in particular, they seem like a fun-loving bunch. Just chaining down jack-o'-lanterns to their roof and almost mooning people on the street. And, like, one old dude in particular gets almost mooned who has, like, really bizarre opinions on what happens to people who moon other people. Like, my guy said that they were gonna go to hell. I just don't feel like that's a go to hellable offense. But I don't know, maybe my God is more lax than yours. By the way, it is almost mooning because the actor who plays Stooge, like, straight out was like, I am not showing my asshole. Like, no. I don't think the movie suffered because there was a lack of that guy's asshole. That old guy goes on to prove that he is the worst motherfucker in the world because he has plans to put razor blades in apples and give them to children like a fucking psychopath. We meet Judy and Johnny, and the two of them decide that they're gonna ditch their prom, so that way they can go to a real shit kicker being thrown by a creep named Angela. But the real creep is Judy's little brother, who goes on to just talk about like how rad his sister's tits are. I don't know, I've never spoken about their titties. This is the first time that I'm even acknowledging that they are out there somewhere in the world. It just never comes up. If I had to identify them in a tragic accident where all that was left were my sister's tits, they're shit out of luck. The brother's talking about like fucking, it's not about how much they've grown, but like how cool they are and shit. I think Judy's in trouble in her own house. Anyway, he fucking rats her out. Like right away to like the neighborhood Guido, this guy named Sal, who happens to be like low-key obsessed with Judy. But we have no time to dig into that fuckery or mental mind trap, because we have to go stare at this beautiful establishing shot. Lena Quigley, you are a treasure. And a good friend to boot, because while she's using what she's got to her advantage, her friend Angela just robs that store stupid. Honestly, it's a fucking genius play. That's just how it's done. It's a honeypot. We get more of the brother talking about Judy's tits, and Moonman Stooge further proving why he's gonna be nominated for most likely to beat his wife.
Typical! Shut up and drive, bitch!
Time moves forward and eventually all of the teenagers pile into this house to party down. But first, some fun little info about this little abode. To make the party extra spooky, the house was once a funeral parlor. right next to a cemetery. In addition to the homeowner just straight up Chris Benoiting his entire family. Or so the story goes. But fuck all that noise, let's party! And what party isn't complete without that one girl just shoving her ass into a fireplace? Everybody wants a little extra warmth on their undercarriage.
This is textbook stuff, guys.
Also, here's a fun little thing I like to do whenever I watch this movie. For whatever reason, whenever I see the guy who plays Max in this film, he just reminds me so much of Jeffrey from Frankenhooker. So I just pretend that that's a younger version of him. Congratulations, I just gave you a prequel, baby. You're welcome. Lucky for you, I'm full of hot takes. The film promotes unsolicited seizures due to an insanely arrogant strobe light that comes up a couple times in this movie. It's like one of the things I legitimately actually don't like about the movie. Because the strobe, it goes on for like 20 seconds too long. And even the movie gods are like, all right, let's put a stop to this. Because whatever generator they had fueling this party shits right the fuck out. And trying to be a good host, just like anybody would, Angela suggests that we have like a seance or something. It's the polite thing to do. Helen sees a glimpse into her future with Stooge and freaks right the fuck out because she's dead in this premonition. Maybe this movie's mad deep. Maybe they were trying to shine a light on what happens when you stay in an abusive relationship. Or not, I don't know. I'm just opening myself to the possibility that the movie is smarter than we assume. Now, as the mirror shatters, we see this awesome scene where you can see each character in a piece of broken glass being filmed on the floor. Unfortunately, I couldn't find out anything about the actual filming of this scene. However, if this is a practical effect, brah fucking bro. I think it's one of the more impressive cinematic things that you're gonna see in this movie. It's just such a cool looking scene, and like you can tell that everyone had to stand in a particular place. It's such a methodically planned out shot. I just have a lot of respect for that scene. Now the group starts to hear creepy shit from the basement, and then we see a big like vault open, and then this creepy shit. What even is it? Doesn't look like anything. It's fucking gross. I like my demons handsome. Like fucking Chris Pontius from Jackass. Or Jeff Goldblum with it like in Mr. Frost. Dishy devils. But this fucking, smash it with a hammer. I bet its blood is all green. The color of monsters. The ugly demon then like tails from the crypts its way into the body of Suzanne, possessing her right away. Who almost didn't even take this role. She thought she was too old to be playing a teenager. But lucky for us, she went against the grain and actually did it anyway, which is great because Lena did a bang-up job as Suzanne in this movie. Absolutely an iconic performance. Angela calls out the situation perfectly. Angela says there's a chill, there's a stink, there's a breeze. Angela says there's demons. But Stooge says, oh, this is all because of the spiritual black guy's butthole, which I know is a trope and a half, to have the fucking spiritual black guy in a horror movie. But beyond that, I actually really enjoy the character of Raj. Sure, Angela brought up that there are demons, but Raj was the one that was like, oh, cool, yeah, we should all just get the fuck out of here. I look to that guy whenever I'm watching horror movies like this, and imagining myself in these situations. That's the guy that's gonna fucking help you out. So he dips and Helen decides that she's gonna go with him, while Judy and her gang of immediate friends go exploring in the house. Meanwhile, Suzanne like makes out with Angela so that way they can, you know, have a lesbian scene in the movie. But also so that way Angela can also be possessed, like how Suzanne is. Now Raj and Helen outside quickly realize that there is no leaving this place. The exit gate that they once came in through is now replaced by a border-sized wall. Helen goes missing, and Raj just barricades himself in a car. He's like, well, what else can I do? I tried to leave, I wanted to leave, I couldn't leave, they wouldn't let me. So this is when we cut to Jay, and we just watch him be extremely cringe. And to put it frank, part of the problem. Asking Judy what the fuck her problem is. She wants to go ahead and fuck all of the everybody, but not fuck him? Whack. Gross, by the way. This guy clearly got his game from the fucking pickup artists. Which, by the way, how did we all unanimously just accept that this guy was a fucking pickup artist? We let that guy rock for 2 seasons on VH1. His name is fucking Mystery. He looks like he fell into an angry little girl's closet. When he stepped out, he was like, I know what women want. The only mystery about that dude is how he hasn't gotten canceled yet. He was given like top shelf bad advice.
But instead, imagine if you had women with you. and you were smiling and laughing and you were taking pictures and you were saying, all right, hands off, women, please. That sort of behavior within that flash moment will show pre-approval and pre-selection from women to all the other women in the room. And that bartender needs to know that you are pre-selected, right? Make sure you have specific routines and, jokes and have a good sense of humor systematically demonstrated with the material that you have accrued over however many, months you've been in the game. And over the shoulder, you begin in A3. So what do you got going for you more than your looks?
The dude next to him looks like he's fighting to not laugh. Even while they were making the show, at least that guy could tell that Mystery was a goddamn douchebag. Now back at the house, Angela decides to dance a little dance for a very concerned looking Saul as Bauhaus begins to play on the radio. It's funny, when looking up facts for this movie, one of the facts is that the actress who played Angela choreographed her own dance like it was a brag. Don't get me wrong, the waving of the hands and the twirling around, it's cute. But I don't think anyone watches that scene and they're like, I need the number to that choreographer. Who composed this dance? Now, I know I'm talking my shit, but it is actually a really interesting scene. Only ruined by that obnoxious fucking strobe light again. Jesus fucking Christ, what was the strobe light budget on this movie? It was too much. Now, it does begin to soften as Stooge and Angela begin to slow dance together, eventually making out, until Angela bites the tongue out of Stooge's mouth. Thank God, that dude was talking reckless. And this is when we see Suzanne's tits and her lipstick face art. Man, what an iconic piece of horror history. Suzanne's look in Night of the Demons is just fucking, come on, that's good. Especially because after that, she fucking draws on her chest with her little pink lipstick until she stores it inside of her titty. That's how you make an everlasting and memorable scene. Whenever I think of Night of the Demons, I think about the scene where she shoves a lipstick in her titty. Now, this is when Blue Balls Jay fucking comes inside and sees her sitting on the ground. And since Judy wasn't trying to give it up, he's like, well, fuck it, let me just fuck this chick who's already showing me her titties. I don't like the guy, but I understand his logic. Angela goes full fire fingers, and once again scares the shit out of Saul. She's lucky she's a demon, or else I think she had a little thing for Saul. But no time for that because Jay is fucking a demon. And from what he can tell, she likes it really rough. Like, get your eyes gouged in rough. Demon Stooge kills Max and Franny, who wanted to just fuck in a coffin. Big shout out to Franny, by the way. Always showing her tits and everything that I see her in. It's a very cool girl thing to do. She shows her tits in this. She shows her tits in Sleepaway Camp. Fucking way to go. Now at this point, Sal, Raj, and Judy are the only people who are not dead or a demon. And the three of them momentarily link up, they do, until Saul has to save Judy, leading them to split up. Then Judy goes into a room where Max and Franny are demonized, or at least fucking Franny definitely is. Max looks like they just ran out of special effects makeup. And they were just like, fuck it, just try it anyway, that's a quick shot. No one's gonna notice. I noticed. And it looks silly. Then there's just 10 minutes of demons scaring everybody. Literally, they're not swinging on them or fucking breaking, none of that shit. It's the boot. That's the big goal. Now, unfortunately, Saul has to make the ultimate sacrifice to save Judy, followed by just Judy holding on to she just looks so silly here. It's another one of those tonal things that I'm not super crazy about in the film. When it's funny and it works, it really works. When it's not trying to be funny, but it is funny, it's really noticeable. And Judy hanging one-handed from the top of the roof, it's the bad noticeable. Raj and Judy decide to look back in that latch, and this is when they learn that it is an oven. But before they can get their thoughts together, the demons start breaking through the door. So using the gas from that oven, they set them on fire. But this only stops them for so long, as they get right back in there and start circling them, needing Roger to jump out of the window like a cartoon character, and just being the most committed character in the entire movie. He then starts to climb up barbed wire like it's a gym rope or some shit. He's able to pull Judy up with him, and the two watch the demons dissipate into the sun. The movie could have ended there, but it doesn't. We circle back for an early problem just to fix it. We pick up with that old man getting a taste of his own razor blades after his clearly fed up wife feeds him a razor blade apple pie and it just cuts up his throat and he dies. And the movie fucking ends.
Final thoughts.
Night of the Demons is a literal monster mash. And from start to finish, you're having an off-the-wall good time. It's like you are at a party. And maybe while all the characters weren't super likable, all of the characters were enjoyable. And I know a lot of people feel like this movie was slow to start, but I think that's forgivable when you're building up characters that you really like to watch. Sal, Angela, Raj, these are standout characters for me. Even the shitheads like Stooge and Jonathan are fucking cool to I like them. Even though, yes, the film does suffer from the cardinal sin of saving all the horror until the last 40 minutes, it really does not affect my love for the movie. And I end up enjoying that first half of the film as much as the last half. I thought even the filming of this movie was really smart, and it took some really interesting risk that I thought really made this film stand out from some of the other films of its kind. Now, that said, I would not say that this movie is innovative at all. You can absolutely see where this movie has been borrowing from. And at times, I think the parallels between Evil Dead and this movie are a little bit too in my face. But even so, it's never enough to make me feel like I can't enjoy the film. And it's not as if the film doesn't pay it forward in the inspirational department. The film actually inspired actor Zach Martin to start a horror thrash metal band called Hull House. And getting back to the film, just the gore and the practical effects are gooey and gross and fun. Even the look of these demons are iconic, which is super impressive. I think when you can create something that's so self-referential without outside influence taking over your own thing that you're trying to build, that's when you've made something unique. And when I see Suzanne or Angela or Stooge inside of their demon makeup, when I see it, I just think Night of the Demons. I absolutely think that you should watch this movie, especially if you get a kick out of the nostalgia that comes from movies in this era of horror. If you're looking for a horror movie that plays more like a midnight snack, Night of the Demons is the movie for you. Now, before I let you guys go, I want to shine a light on someone who has supported my channel from the very beginning, and that is my friend Collectorman, who has just hit 250 subscribers. Way to go, buddy. He has an incredible haul and contest going on right now. So head over to his channel, hit subscribe, and enter it. That way you can go head to head with me, because I want the haul. He's giving away a lot of cool shit. So make sure that you enter that by going down to the description of this video, where you will find a link to his channel, in addition to everywhere that you can follow me across my social medias. If you're on Facebook, join HellFire Radio. If you dig what I do and want to support the channel, consider becoming a Patreon down below. And of course, like the video, share the video, because that is the biggest and best thing that you can do to help me grow. And of course, hit the notification bell so that way you know when I drop a new video. I'm pretty sure that that's everything that I needed to say here. So let's just end this thing. I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace, video creeps.
Hi, thanks for being my Patreons, and it goes Rebecca Reviews, Kyoko and Corey Stewart, Larry Sherman, and Carwoman, Spooky, Butcher's Grindhouse, Lore X-Core, Six Siren, Michael Andrews, and then there's Mandy, and she's new. Yeah, she's new. I love you all so much and appreciate that you give me cash every month. You give me money every single month.